Periodically throughout my childhood, I would spend the weekend with my grandparents, my father's parents, for those who want to keep track of my family history. One of the things I did with my grandfather was to go out with him in the fields collecting mushrooms, which we would fry up and have as part of our breakfast. This quite put me in awe of him, because he knew exactly which mushrooms were edible. The other thing that put me in awe of him was when he would be pointing out owls in the tree at the end of the garden. This awe, though, sort of disappeared when, after a vision test, it was shown that I needed glasses to see at the distance. And of course it was that point I realized how he was able to see the owls. I use this as an example of how it relates to vision and insight into many things in life. We certainly need the correct tools, the correct learning, but as we go through life, we have a much greater background, so when we come across something new, hopefully we do get the deeper insight because we understand more of it. It used to be said that as you get older, it's more difficult to learn. But many educators now have disproved that theory, simply because, as I said earlier, we have more on which to hang this new knowledge. We can relate to it and appreciate it. The only difficulty that certain people have when they go back to school at an older age is that they aren't into the routine of the discipline that is required with study, such as setting aside the appropriate amount of time for homework. But that's another discipline that one has to force oneself into if one wishes to learn. Many years ago, I met an elderly gentleman who, through in the course of his life, had been forced to live in many different countries of Europe and Russia, and each time he had learnt the language. He'd also learned Esperanto, and one day I saw him picking up an English language newspaper and just quipped to him, wondering if he was also learning English. He said yes. I think by this time he must have been well into his 80s. A short time ago I was recounting that particular story to someone, and he responded by telling me a story of someone that he knew who had decided to go back to school in order to obtain a degree which they'd never obtained in their youth. This person was well into their retirement, and someone said to them, "You're going to be 90 before you get that degree." To which he responded, "I'm going to be 90 anyway, so I may as well enjoy the time." I also offer this as inspiration to anyone who is thinking about going back to college in their retirement, or just anyone who wants to learn something just for the joy of learning it. Because so often, whilst we're going through school, we will get teachers saying, "Oh, you have to learn this for a certain profession, you have to study that," and it all learnings related, but not always joy related. Be great to combine the two. So I hope if you listen to this, you'll also take inspiration to learn something new for the joy of it, which also in my experience makes it so much easier to learn because you enjoy it, because you don't have to do it, it's all for the fun of it. And remember, as they say, anyone can be a day older. The question is, are you going to be a day wiser?